Okay, so basically, as what my mom says, um, I've been giving talks in JPA and MHA, the Malaysian Mental Health Association. They called me for a talk. My name is Visalashia Unigiri. I'm 22 years old, and I was diagnosed with schizophrenia at the age of 19, which was 3 years ago, and I've been fighting the illness until now. Schizophrenia is a mental disorder, which means you hear auditory hallucinations, voices, um, hallucination, and delusional thoughts. So you imagine things that are not real. You go into the fantasy world. You're not in reality. You lose touch with reality. And so I'm a Malaysian, but I lived 14 years in Bangkok. And when I was in school in Bangkok, Patna, the first day of school was quite hard for me because basically what happened was when I was in school in Malaysia, the teachers used to whack me. So when I went to school in Bangkok, I was afraid of going to school, so I cried on the first day. And then later on, they found out that I had a learning disability. They diagnosed me with a learning disability. I couldn't cope with the curriculum, so I had an assistant teacher with me throughout my whole primary life. Her name was Ruby. She's a nice lady, but I gave her some hard time because I didn't like somebody following me around everywhere I went. But she was very helpful, and because of her, I managed to pass my primary years, but then they told me that I couldn't go into high school. So I had to go into a special needs school called The Village. And this was when it demotivated me because what happened was I had to leave my friends and make new friends. And I felt that just because I have a learning disability doesn't mean that I have to be put somewhere else. So 6 months later, my mom found another school called St. Andrews, and this was when I enrolled into that school. It's a normal school, but they have special needs support. So with that support, I went to the normal curriculum and managed to finish up to year 10. And then I was bullied in school because I was friends with the mean girls, and they used to call me nipple, ghost, burnt chopsticks, all these kind of things. And I became rebellious towards the later part of my years. I started skipping class. I stopped studying. I started bullying other kids. So it got so bad that my parents had to see my principal. And they told me that if I want to continue to study in the school, I must respect the teachers. So I did. I started going back into studying again, and I stopped friending those friends of mine, and then I decided to go into Melbourne. Why I wanted to go to Melbourne was because they had facilities for special needs. So I couldn't finish my year 11 and year 12 in Bangkok. I had to do it in Melbourne. So I did year 11 VCE, where you don't have to do maths and science. And because I couldn't cope with maths and science, I could do this instead. The only compulsory subject was English. And because I was studying there, I decided to do foundation studies as well, which is like pre-U. I made new friends, but then they started avoiding me eventually. And then I had some social problems. I would change friendship groups often. I don't have a stable friend for a long time. And then I went and finished my studies in Bangkok because I basically my grades were 50%, and I was supposed to get 70%. And because I couldn't get the 70%, I decided to come back home to Bangkok and enroll into Academy Italiana. Academy Italiana is a fashion and design school. And basically, I learned fashion. And it's my passion is fashion, but because it was so stressful, I stopped watching TV. Sometimes I forget to wash my hair. I would roam around by myself because my friends abandoned me. My high school friends abandoned me. So I had one friend, an African girl, and she was very nice to me. And we used to go out clubbing, and I used to smoke and drink a lot because at that time I was going through a lot of social issues with many people, and I couldn't talk to anyone. So I kept it as a secret for a long time until I decided to come back. Until I decided to come back to Malaysia because it got so stressful that basically what happened was I couldn't cope with the exam. So I finished my certificate in fashion and design, quit, came back to Malaysia, and decided to study here instead. I made few new friends, but they weren't so close to me. And my mom wanted to leave me behind because she had to go overseas for a project in Bangkok. And the reason why she wanted to leave me behind was because I wanted to be alone for 3 weeks just to prove to my friends, families, and stuff that I can be independent and by myself. And I wanted to try to be independent and on my own for a while. And during that time, what happened was I crashed. It didn't work out because I kept on sleeping. I wouldn't shower, I wouldn't eat, I wouldn't drink, I wouldn't call anybody. Even if my mom calls, I would put down the phone. If she calls, I'd say, I'm 19, I can take care of myself, leave me alone. Every time I would hear somebody calling my name, Visha, Visha. So it was very scary for me to experience this kind of things. And then I started seeing things, like somebody coming into the apartment, and then somebody knocking at the door, and then I got lost a couple of times, and they even told me the answers to my exam on my exam day, but I don't know whether it's right or wrong, but they would tell me things like, go this way, go that way. They would give me advice. And when I started having this, my mom came back and she found the apartment was in a mess, and she took me to a psychiatrist the next day. And that's when he diagnosed me with schizophrenia. And schizophrenia, as I said, is a mental disorder. It's a medical condition, and you need medication to medicate it. And I've been on medication for the last 3 years. I'm currently going through a relapse because I just did a huge talk in MHA, and that really tired me out. But I'm still here. And then I enrolled into Yes Academy. I did makeup and I passed because it helped me divert my thoughts, and it was like a therapy for me, and the teachers were so good to me that they would help me and let me go back home earlier than the other students. Then I went into Sunway, and this was when I crashed again because I couldn't cope with the studies. I had, what do you call it? Hand coordination problems, and I couldn't draw because I did art. so I couldn't draw symmetrically, vertically. Measurements were wrong and things like that. It wasn't accurate. Some of the like if the positions and layouts. So I found it very tough. You know, you think art is creative, but it requires a lot of thinking into it, and you must learn the basics before you can go into creativity. And because of that, I quit because I was having vomiting, diarrhea, headache, body ache, fever, and I would go in and out of hospital because of this. And then I wrote a book. I wrote this book because what motivated me was to help inspire other people with mental illness to come out and to also be functional like me, like I can live a normal life now. I have my ups and downs, but I can eat, you know, shower, go out, talk to my friends, talk to my mom, and then come home, relax, give a speech, go and do work in the center. So because of this, I think it will help inspire other people. And what inspired and motivated me was seeing other people recovered from the illness, and seeing other people that didn't recover from the illness made me feel blessed that I can give hope. And what are the symptoms of mental illness? The symptoms of mental illness is when you have social withdrawal syndrome. That means you withdraw from your social life. You don't talk to anybody. You sit for days in your room. You don't eat. You don't do anything basically. You don't function. You just sleep. Or you are awake the whole day and you don't sleep. You'll be locked up in your room, either on your computer or just sitting there, lying down, thinking about what, God knows what. So because of this, you must notice these things when you have little young children. If you notice they are too quiet, they don't want to mix with people, they like to be alone, always want to be alone, always want to eat by themselves, there's something wrong with that child. It's not normal. Social skills is the most important thing in life. And I was a very sociable person, but because of this illness and what happened in Malaysia during the time my mom was alone, I have problems now in actually making proper conversation with people. But I learned through this, through psychotherapy. And psychotherapy really helps. And it's important to live with a stress-free life, because if you are so stressed out, there's no point in being so stressed out, because you can get illnesses like mental disorders, heart diseases. So it's important to have a routine, exercise, eat well, go out, take a break, do something you enjoy once in a while. Don't just work, because the stress will build up, and you can get all kinds of diseases. And the important thing is to get treatment, and treatment like psychotherapy, meaning a psychologist, a psychiatrist, alternative therapies like Ayurveda, yoga, spirituality. It's your choice what you want to do that suits you best. Personally, I feel taking medication is my choice, but a lot of people don't like to take medication, so there's other options also. And thank you very much.